Alright guys, so with the release of Alien Romulus, I decided why don't I do a ranking for all the Alien films. They're the ones I grew up with, they're the ones I've actually seen in theaters, and being 35, there's only about half of this list that I actually saw in theaters. And I'm very excited to talk about some of these because some of these movies are some of the biggest impact on me in terms of cinema for movies and everything. So let's just jump right into it with all the Alien films. This does on the Predator films. I'm going to do a separate list for Predator films down the line, but we're going to start in out of order, and we are going to start with Alien Resurrection, which is the fourth film in the franchise. It is also universally usually sought as the worst film in the entire franchise. And having rewatched it just 4 or 5 days ago with my wife, because she never saw this movie, I could probably agree with that sentiment. So after the events of Aliens 3, spoilers, 25 years later, Ripley died. She jumped into a lava pit, similar to Terminator 2, so there's probably no coming back as she is a human. But she does, because science, bitch. And we have a rebirth of Ripley as a clone now, so it's not the Ripley we know, though it has the memories and everything of that Ripley, so it's kinda, but also she's offbeat. And then on top of that, we bring back the Xenomorphs because the baby inside of her is now born as a queen. So you have an interesting idea in a sense that we're bringing back a character that is dead, but it's not really her. And we're talking about cloning and if they're really human or not. And we also have, of course, a group of people, a group of these mercenaries who pretty much have to survive an onslaught of xenomorphs while trying to get out of here. So a very typical story of almost every single Alien story that we have here in a movie. But here's where Alien Resurrection kind of fails in two major ways for me. One, the script. It's pretty bad. It's I would say almost awful in a lot of ways. And Joss Whedon has gone on record saying that the studio interference and this wasn't his project, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. Watching this movie, this reeks of Joss Whedon. The problem with that is this is Joss Whedon in his early days and not his A-game like mid-season Buffy or Angel or Avengers even, or multiple other films, Firefly, TV show. Like, this isn't the Joss Whedon that most people enjoy, his quickness. Now they do have his signature here, which is why I find it hard to believe when he says the studio interference and everything, because this reeks of Joss Whedon. But at the same time, it's the worst qualities of Joss Whedon. The little quick comebacks are really, really poorly done and not very funny. And also the characters all just feel bland. None of them are interesting. They all have the type. There's the hero, there's the cool guy, there's the kind of crippled guy who somehow is going to survive most of this and then does. You got the asshole who becomes lovable. Like, it's just the generic stereotypes that we see in like every movie, and I really don't like the way he wrote Ripley here, as I like the idea that she's not really Ripley but has her memories, but she just seems offbeat, and I don't blame Sigourney Weaver. Doesn't feel like it's her fault. This comes to my another big major issue of this film: the direction. The director was not for this film. The angle shots look really fucking awkward. The close-ups are obviously not very good, and my biggest problem is the action scenes aren't that good in this. They're very predictable and they're not very fun to watch. Also, it just feels like kind of like slowly paced when it really shouldn't be. That's the problem I have with this film most of all, is that it's an alien film, it's an action film, it's a big blockbuster film, and this doesn't feel fast-paced. It doesn't feel scary. There's only like one part in the whole movie for me that I actually felt worried for them, and that was underwater, and that was also cut really quick, and it's like a 2-minute segment in the whole movie. So my problem with this movie, it's just not that good. Now, it's not horrible. I do think that the acting is okay from everybody, but the script does not do them any favors. I think the Xenomorphs look great. I love when they're puppeteer, you know, the puppet work and the actual real effects, all that looks great. And I do think that the hybrid in this is horrifying. I mean, ugly as fuck and kind of weird and dumb, but also horrifying. Like, I love the eye sockets are just so black with like tiny little speck of eye, like little iris or whatever it is. It's just very, very creepy. So there are stuff I like about the design of it, but overall, is Alien Resurrection the worst film in the franchise? Well, it's pretty bad. I wouldn't say it's garbage straight out because I do enjoy watching it every, 5 to 10 years. But at the same time, it is one of the worst in the franchise. And I can't give it any higher than a low D. I don't think it's quite an F, but it's pretty bad. Alright, so now we're going to talk about Alien, the film that started this entire franchise. One of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time. And for good reason. Now, my only issue, I'm going to get it out of the way in the beginning because I want to just talk about why I love this movie. But the sound in this movie is really not good at times. Now, of course, this has something to do with the time that this was made. It was a lower budget, things like that. But my God, the sound in the beginning of the movie with the spaceship and the sounds and all this shit going on. I don't know if I mimicked it right, but it gave me a headache on rewatching this with my wife a few years ago. But other than that, I mean, this movie's fucking amazing. It's one of the best build up to the overwhelming tension that this movie does. And it's only one Xenomorph. So what I really love about this movie is that they give you this creature that is obviously fucking lethal, scary. I mean, not only is it a amazing design, but you have this creature who is stealthy, who is vicious, who will hunt you till it kills you, and it has really no weaknesses in the end other than you have to just burn it or kill it or shoot it or whatever it is. You really can't stop this thing because its mindset is, I'm gonna kill you. And I love the fact that this thing takes out the entire fucking crew in this ship. Like, all of them die with the exception of Ripley. So I think what's really great about this is a very slasher feel to it, but in space. But at the same time, you got all the elements that work. You have a good cast, you have a great lead with Ripley, and then you have a great design for the monster. So this is like one of the best combination movies I've ever seen. It has one of the best jump scares I've ever seen. Still gets me to this day, but when I was a kid and watched it, the scene in the vents, absolutely one of the greatest scenes that scares the shit out of me.
Dallas?
So yeah, where would I rank Alien? I mean, this is a fucking obvious. I can't imagine anyone putting it lower than a B, but for me, it's a mid A. Like, besides the sound, this movie is amazing. I really love this movie. It is a bit slow in the beginning, so obviously it's building up the mythos and everything. But once it gets going, this movie's something else. So yeah, that's a very, very good A. It's not quite like the greatest movie of all time. Might be another movie on this list that gets there. But this is one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. So Alien Covenant. Alien Covenant is the perfect example of the only movie on this list I've only seen once. And I really have no desire to ever see it again. It's not that it's bad. It's not that it's good, though. It's just kind of There's like one or two scenes I recall from this movie. The lock in this like room with the first like kind of alien coming out, Xenomorph coming out. I remember enjoying that. I do remember it's brutal at some scenes, which I like, and I really like. I think it's called the Neomorph, the white Xenomorph. Those things look fucking disturbing, and I love it. I love all the different designs of aliens we get. We get a lot in each movie. We get a new design basically, and then I also like it in the comics and stuff. It's one of my favorite things about aliens that the way they evolve is when they take over the host, they kind of have the DNA from that host, which creates them into a new Xenomorph type. And I really liked the Neomorph, I think it's called, in this. Very, very fucking cool. But I remember watching this, and besides the ending, which I thought was really dark, and it goes there, and I really appreciate that with David, the rest, I was just like, whatever. Like, this feels like it's weird. I'll get to Prometheus at the end here, but it feels like it was like trying to make up for Prometheus by being more alien-like, instead of leaning into Prometheus and the things that work with Prometheus. So that's my problem with this movie. It's half-assed, basically. It tries, but it never fully commits to either being a new Alien film or a sequel to Prometheus. It's just kind of in the middle. It's an okay film. It's not a bad film. I think it's better than Alien Resurrection from what I recall. But again, that's my problem. I can't recall quite that much. And I did see this years ago now, but I have no desire to rewatch it. It wasn't a film that I'm like, I gotta see it again. So, and there was a lot of CGI, which kind of sucks because I like the puppeteers is that what they call puppeteers, or the real alien, you know, the suits and all that. So anyway, I'm gonna go in like a mid C, and that's what it is to me. It's a mid C. It's okay. It's not horrible, but yeah, it could be better in a lot of ways. All right, so we got Alien 3, and Alien 3 is one of the most frustrating films of all time. There's things I love about it. I think it's shot really well. I want to say that. I do think the look of it is cool. It's very distinct. It's different than Alien and Aliens, which is nice. Sigourney Weaver being bald and badass is cool. It's different look. I like that. And I really love the Xenomorph in this. The Runner, I think they're called, where it DNA splices with a dog, or I think in the director's cut it's a cow or a bull. I think it's a bull. But either way, that thing looks fucking cool. I love the speed. Like, it just looks like it's slimmer and faster, and a very cool design that I overall really enjoy. And I do think it has some really iconic scenes. There's that scene that you've probably seen, even if you've never seen the movie, with the alien very close to Ripley and like smelling her or sensing her. Very cool scene. It looks visually fucking great. And there is a lot of that like type of alien, you know, like the puppet alien that I like. But that's kind of where my good ends. I think the dialogue's really off in this movie. Not that well done. I do really think this is a very slow movie. It feels slow. And listen, I love David Fincher. I love him so much. Besides a couple of movies, he's one of my favorite directors who's made 2 or 3 of my favorite films of all time. So I really do like him. But Jesus Christ, I mean, this is not what I want from an alien film, in my opinion. It just feels like it drags and drags, and the action scenes are just so small, and when they all happen, they're either too much and you can't tell what's happening, or too much of that terrible early 90s CGI. That's just awful, which really takes away from the alien in this, because I really like the design. Also, the ending just feels weird, with the whole jumping off and alien burst out. I don't know if this is before Terminator 2 or not, but it feels like very much a bad looking version of the Alien 2 ending for me. Sorry, Alien 2, Terminator 2. But overall, is this movie horrible? No. Like I said, I do like things about it, but it's also one of the least like movies I want to rewatch, because it's just not that entertaining. And that's my biggest issue with it. It's not that entertaining now. I'm like, I gotta watch this again. Kind of like Covenant. I don't really... It's like in the middle of Covenant. I think the highs of this movie are better than Covenant. But at the same time, I wasn't as bored watching Covenant as I am watching Alien 3 again about a year ago. So, I'm going to just put it right next to it. These are tied as kind of 2 movies that are okay. They're like 5 or 6 out of 10. And that's really all I can say, is that they're okay. Alright, so Alien Romulus, this is the newest movie. I saw it yesterday, and I was a bit worried because, my God, it's been a long time. The movies that I've seen in theaters as being alive would be Alien Resurrection, and then Prometheus, Alien Covenant, and then Alien Romulus. And by far, not even a competition, Alien Romulus is the best time I've had watching an Alien movie in theaters. Alien Romulus takes a lot of what I love about Alien. You get these group of people who have a mission, and they go into space, or they're already in space, but they go into space in a space station, and they want to survive. And their mission is interesting enough, is that they basically want to go to a planet to be free and live a better life, which is what everybody could kind of relate to, wanting to live a better life. And the big thing with Romulus is they can do that. They can achieve that. And pretty easily, all they got to do is just grab these pods that will give them enough cryo energy, I guess, to sleep for 9 years to make it to this planet. So that all makes sense. And they set up the characters well enough. And I really do enjoy the pacing of this, because the first maybe 40 minutes is that build-up, so you care about what happens to these characters. And the positives for this movie are, I think, the 2 main leads. I really enjoyed Ash, I think her name is, and I forget the android's name. Both of those really worked for me. I really liked the 2 leads here, the acting wise and their mission and their brother-sister dynamic really worked. I also really thought that the set pieces in this were amazing. There's a scene with zero gravity, I'm not going to spoil it, that is absolutely one of the coolest zero gravity scenes I've ever seen in any media. I've never really seen zero gravity used too well in movies, so it was really cool to see it here. Now, as a Dead Space fan, I've done zero gravity. They're usually actually my least favorite sections in Dead Space, but it was really done well here, and it reminiscent of Dead Space, which was cool. I also thought the facehuggers were absolutely the scariest in this movie they've ever been. I don't fucking like facehuggers. I don't like them. They're little crawly motherfuckers. They remind me of spiders, and I don't like spiders. And then they jump on your face and put their cock in your face and then shoot a little egg in your belly. I don't like that either. So, they're horrifying in this, and they are in droves in this movie. I do not like them at all. So really, really scary, really effective. There's a great scene of being stealthy with them, and a really cool idea I've never seen before. And yeah, overall, Romulus to me, with the set pieces, the acting, the two main leads, the Xenomorphs look great. A lot of it is real Xenomorphs, like puppeteer work or CGI suits, and the CGI that is used looks really well done. And they got a bonkers ending that I'm not going to spoil, but it worked for me. It was horrifying, and I liked it. I like Romulus a lot. Now, is it a perfect movie? No, I do think it relies heavily on some callbacks at the end. You know, I saw that in reviews before I watched the when I was watching the movie, about 2/3 in, I'm like, what are people talking about? There's barely any callbacks. I don't know what the fuck. And if they are, they're so like subtle, like who cares? But that last third, there are literally scenes taken from the first or second movie that are just redone with the characters. I was like, you didn't have to do that. I get what you're doing, but you didn't have to. There's lines that are said. Now, there is a line that is said, one of the most obvious lines, it's not a spoiler, from Alien 2. I actually like that scene. I think it's done because it's done different enough that it's funny, and it's also badass, and it works. And then there's like the beat by beat story at that last third act literally is like Alien the original. So I did have problems with too much of the emphasis on being the same as the first two. I think it already felt like the first two and everything, with the set design looking like the original Alien and Aliens. I don't think you needed that. But overall, I'm not going to keep going. Romulus was a really good time. I had a great time watching it. Flaws aside, it's not as good as Alien or Aliens, but it's a really, really fun Alien movie. Finally, I can say that I think it's a great time, and I will rewatch this movie for sure. And it's going into B. High B, actually, I would say. I give it like an 8 out of 10. I really had a good time. Alright, so we get to Aliens, which is usually considered the best of the franchise, or right behind Alien, depending on who you ask, which is great. I think having two movies in a franchise, which are mostly always debated as which one is better, is awesome. I don't think it's as, like, because for me, I really love Terminator, and I love Terminator 2 even more. But a lot of people, I think, feel that way. Whereas Alien or Aliens, there's always a debate of which is better to someone. There's always the top two movies in everybody's list I've ever seen. And for good reason. It's hard to really decide, because Alien is like that pitch-perfect sci-fi horror movie, and then Aliens is that pitch-perfect sci-fi action movie. So it really depends on the mood you're in. Saying that, Aliens is not only my favorite in this franchise, it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite movie of all time. It's definitely the movie I've rewatched the most in my life. I've seen Aliens now, I would say, at least 12 to 13 times in my life, and this is not a short movie. So for me to do that, which I don't usually rewatch movies more than maybe twice, maybe 3 times, because I just like to experience new things. Aliens is that exception. I will always rewatch this. I've rewatched it twice with my wife since I've met her. I watched it so much growing up. I probably watched it more than that, honestly, when I was a kid, but who knows? Who counts when you're a kid? But really, really just an entertaining movie. Ripley really comes to full form here, where she's great in Alien. She's a fucking badass hero icon in Aliens. And you have adorable Newt, who is one of the most adorable kid actors I've ever seen. And you want to just protect her at all costs, which while you're watching that, you want Hicks and Ripley to protect her at all costs, which makes you feel like a family, which is great. I also think despite this being an amazing action sci-fi, there are parts that are horrifying. The fucking tracker scenes are great because you feel the anxiety that the soldiers are. And even though they got these guns and fucking grenades and stuff, these aliens are coming in droves. These xenomorphs are not fucking around. This isn't like one xenomorph that these military guys can handle. This is like hundreds. And they're gonna eat your fucking face. They're scary. But yeah, I really enjoy this movie, from the acting being over the top fun, 90s 80s military, to the fucking great action scenes, to the best designed alien of all time, the Queen. I don't know why I did it that way, I'm so sorry. But the Queen is one of my favorite design sci-fi creatures of all time. I think it looks so horrifying, it looks imposing, and it has such a cool fucking way it moves like a monster. It's so big. Of course, you have the final showdown, which is awesome. Sold millions of toys, because I know I bought the shit out of both the Queen and Ripley's motherfucking robot handle machine with the big turning arms. So, yeah, I absolutely love Aliens. This is like pretty much a perfect action sci-fi movie, but just a perfect movie to put on and enjoy. I've never met someone who's like, I don't like Aliens. And if I do, you scare me. You scare me. So Aliens is definitely going in front of Alien for me, but I can definitely understand the argument that Alien would be better. These two are the top of the cream crop. Top of the crop cream. Cream of the crop. There we go. Cream of the crop, baby. Aliens is the best. Alright, and let's talk about Prometheus. Probably, I would say, top 10 most disappointing films of all time for me. Because, well, one, the trailer to this movie is one of the greatest trailers of all time. Hyped me up beyond belief. I remember me and my friend Jimmy were just so hyped after we saw the trailer. Like, oh, this is going to be the greatest sci-fi movie of all time. And it definitely was not. Another reason that I was really excited, this was the first movie, little life love lesson. This is the first movie, my first date with my wife. When we first went out, this is the movie I chose, and this isn't the greatest movie to take your first date to. I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you right now. Pick the movie better than me. Fuck. This movie's weird. You know, this is a weird movie because there are some ideas I really love in Prometheus. I think the designs, the sets, the overall action, all of that is great. I mean, Ridley Scott made this, and it looks great. And then it just throws a million fucking questions at you, and some are answered, not in the best way, and then some are just never answered, and we're gonna get answers, but then Alien comes like, no, we're not, because nobody wants those. So, fuck the payoff, I guess, right? Fuck the payoff. But yeah, my major problem with Prometheus is that I wish it wasn't an Aliens movie, to be honest. If this was an Alien, or it wasn't connected to the Alien movies, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. I think I would have really just sat and kind of been like, oh, this is an interesting, weird sci-fi movie. But as an Alien, or part of the Alien franchise, this movie is just so much, here's questions and not answers. And it's very big disappointment for me. I remember watching it and saying, like, it's like I almost like forcing myself to say this is a better movie than it is when I first watched it. Then when I rewatched it, I could see the good parts that I did love about it. I think there's some tense scenes, like getting a thing out of you, like the creature or whatever, and things like that. Like, all of that was pretty cool. And then I do think that the body horror here is pretty good too at points. But yeah, overall, I just the cast isn't that memorable. The big ending with the big naked, you know, gods or makers or whatever they are is just okay. Yeah, it's just a mismatch. And then the very ending, like the big zinger of the Xenomorph coming out, real cool design, except that's it. We never see that fucking design do anything. It just pops out. I was like really disappointed with that. So yeah, Xenomorphs, Prometheus is a really disappointing experience for me. Rewatching it, it's less of a disappointment, more of a missed opportunity. I would probably say it's like on the level of Covenant, but for different reasons. I think the highs of Prometheus are higher than even Covenant or even Alien 3. I think there are some really cool ideas, and it's shot so beautiful. That is really fun to watch at those scenes. But it's also messy as motherfucking hell. So yeah, I think I'm gonna put it a little higher than Covenant, to be honest. as disappointing as it was, I think the scenes I remember more clear than Covenant. And Alien 3, again, killing Newt and Hicks, that really fucked me, man. That really pissed me the fuck off. Just a sin against the entire franchise. But yeah, I think Prometheus would be a C. Possibly even a high C at points, but I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, that's my ranking. You know, as we can see, the Alien franchise has had some, let's say, missed opportunities, as I said. I don't think there's any Alien film I wouldn't watch ever again. It's just that there's some Alien films I have no desire, but if someone's like, I really want to watch these, and I'm like, oh, well, okay, I'll watch them with you just to watch something with someone, I could do it with every single one of these films. But the top 3 are the ones that I will rewatch over and over again. I will always rewatch Aliens. Always. I will always rewatch Alien. And Alien Romulus was such a good time that I'll rewatch that again. I'm definitely going to buy that on 4K when it comes out, because I think it's also shot really beautifully as well. So those 3 are my favorite. And then a large margin, we got Prometheus, Covenant, and Alien 3. And as we go trickle down that list, it's less and less that I ever really want to rewatch them. And then Alien Resurrection, as someone who didn't watch that film again for almost 20 years probably, watching it again 4 days ago, it was troublesome to get through. It was actually kind of boring. So that's also my problem. So anyway, that's my list. What are your guys' lists? I'm really eager. I know there's some fans out there that really love Prometheus or Alien 3. I've seen it. And so if you're one of those, I would love to see why and what really worked for you for those movies. And also, are your top 2 my top 2? Or do you have a different, or is Romulus one of your favorite? There's so many options to choose from. Alien is a very long-running franchise now. It's going to be 40 years, I think. Or is it over 40 years now? No, not yet. I don't think. It's not over 40 yet. But when it is, it's amazing that I would still watch these films, no problem, 40 years later. But anyway, list yours below. I'd love to see them. Hope you guys enjoyed. I know it's been a while since I made a video. I got more that I want to make. It's just been kind of hectic and life and all that good stuff. But I really, really hope you enjoyed this list. And if you did, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you'd like to stick around for more nerdy-ass videos. I got plenty more that I want to come out with. And everybody, have a wonderful day.